Born in 9th century Norway, your mother nearly died birthing you. The midwife heard your cry and bolted. Your mother didn't hold you. She shrank back. Even fresh out of the womb, you radiated something indescribably wrong. Your father, he was busy raiding over in Francia. Blink and you are 5. While other kids played in mud, you split logs for your mother. Your idea of fun was headbutting trees and biting goats. At 8, you asked why no one mentioned your father. He died. Your chest tightened, but no tears fell. For a Viking man, crying counts for nothing. You grew older and realized you had a terrifying defect. When anger hit, it was a murderous madness. You once tore a live chicken apart just because a neighbor eyed your wooden sword. You buried an axe in his leg. Your mother's entire life became stopping you from becoming a walking curse. You wanted to stop, but deep down, you loved spilling the blood of anyone who crossed you. By day, you chopped wood and carried water, pretending to be a bomb that wouldn't explode. But night was chaos. You couldn't sleep. Nightmares rolled in, horrors flashing before your eyes. Your mother dragged you to the village shaman. He stared at you and said, "Come back only when you see the thing haunting you." But the trouble was, you never remembered your dreams. Until this morning, you woke up for the first time feeling whole. No screaming, no hallucinations, and you remembered everything. You raced back to the shaman like it was a festival. He listened, nodding slowly, then dropped the heavy truth. Odin is speaking to you. The Allfather himself crept into your dreams. He is not there to chat. He wants to forge you into a berserker. Everyone you know will shun you. Even the goats should stay away. As for your mother, keep your distance, or one day you will lose control and break her. By 12, you were bigger and harder than most men. 6 steps away from being a wild beast. The village gave up and dumped you on the warrior band. You were thrown in with the old berserkers. Now they were truly terrifying. They never smiled, barely spoke, but they hit as hard as falling trees. You started learning the axe. Sounds simple. Swing and chop. Look tough. But in a real fight, it was nothing like that. You were thrown into the ring with 2 full-grown berserkers. Your axe hit them. They didn't even blink. You blocked their strikes, and your bones rattled. Sometimes, they made you fight bare-handed against a man swinging a merciless axe. Months later, you were purple with bruises, scars stacked on scars, but you finally mastered the axe. By 16, you were a monster everyone feared, but training the body wasn't enough. You had to train the mind. They taught you to enter the berserker rage, a terrifying state, no pain, no fear, possessed by the god of war. How do you enter it? Mushrooms. Not the food kind, the toxic kind that drives men mad. Every time you swallowed them, Odin's voice buzzed in your skull, whispering ancient myths you couldn't understand. But the scary part wasn't the voice, it was what happened after. Last time you ate the mushrooms, your memory cut out. When you woke up, you were deep in the woods, gripping a severed human arm, not your own. Your men told you it was an unlucky Viking who crossed your path while you were raving. You trained like this for 2 years. You ate more mushrooms than giants eat greens. You finally graduated. You were chosen for the king's personal guard. It sounded glorious, but within a year, your king spoke up. He wanted to raid England. Your first overseas slaughter began just like that. On the chaotic shore, no one could touch you. You swung your axe, and they fell. You could steal their goats with one hand. But then, things changed. The King of York rallied his entire army and threw them into the center of the battlefield. As a berserker, you had 2 choices. Stick to the king as a bodyguard, or charge the front and become a human meat grinder. You were new, so you were sent to the front. You attacked like mad dogs, leaping at the English soldiers. The main Viking force was still running up behind you, but you were already in the center of the mix. You smashed enemy shields like wet tree bark. Then, you blacked out again. When you woke, the battlefield was dead silent. You lay alone in a corner, covered in blood. Definitely not all yours, surrounded by corpses. But the people you killed weren't grown warriors. They were half-grown boys, barely older than when you started training. You sat there, staring at the carnage. Your heart felt split open by an axe, numb with agony, pure guilt. For the first time, you felt lost. Back in Norway, you continued as the king's shadow. Vikings whispered that you could switch instantly. A beast on the field, a shadow by the throne. You actually lived to be 30. For a berserker, that is an ancient lifespan. Most don't survive past 25. You were covered in scars, walking with a limp. The buzzing in your head never stopped. Your beard turned gray. Your joints creaked like old wood. You were no longer the rookie swinging an axe at the front. Now you commanded other berserkers. The king's #1 bone crusher. You raided with the king again and again. Crossed seas, took gold, heard every kind of scream. The old king died. His son took over. He made you captain of the royal guard. The new king wasn't as smart as his father, but he was a true Viking. He loved looting, obsessed with killing. Addicted to war. That meant you could never rest. More battles, more slaughter, more times dragged into the berserker rage. At first, it was fine. You could control when to get angry. But then it changed. The control was no longer yours. You didn't decide the rage decided you. Sometimes on the battlefield. Sometimes just eating dinner. Even other berserkers started hiding from you. You became a moving disaster. The king banished you, not because you were weak, but because you were too dangerous. You went to the shaman, begged for a ritual, a vision, an answer, all useless. Finally, you did the only logical thing. You walked into the wild, self-exile. Every night, you repeated the same dream. You are killing, but you can't see their faces, only screaming corpses and pools of blood. Your soul felt trapped in an endless loop. You hated it all. You begged Odin to end your pain, take back this damnable rage. But nothing changed. Years passed. Odin stopped speaking. Either he couldn't be bothered or he didn't need you anymore. This morning, you walked into town. You stared down every Viking, challenged everyone, kill me, but not one man stepped forward. Because even though you are mad, even though your beard is white and you stumble, they still remember you. The man who tore enemies apart like paper, right now, you are staring at that length of rough rope, thinking, since Odin won't take your soul, maybe it is time you delivered it to him yourself.